was working in a bridal shop in Flushing, Queens, when her boyfriend kicked her out in one of those crushing scenes. What was she to do? Where was she to go? She was out on her fanny. So over the internet from the States to podcast door, she was there to promote an event and talk some more. She has style, she has flair, and she's here. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Fran, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. How is everyone?
We are fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It is an honor to be able to sit here to talk to you today, kind of cross-platforming this interview across two of our shows, and to talk a little bit about one project that you did at one point in your life, which we're very excited for, but also for a very exciting event that you've got going on as part of Cancer Schmancer, which you've been involved in for quite some time, Fran Jam 2021, which is this weekend. So exciting. First of all, tell us a little bit about this event, Fran, because this is very exciting with some very big names that you've got attached to this at the moment.
Well, we do annually a really fun music concert festival. Before the pandemic, very often we would be on what we called a cabaret dinner cruise, which was in New York Harbor for the evening just, and it was a lot of fun. But subsequent to the pandemic, we got creative and we started doing virtual concerts. And the upside of that is that we were able to get some excellent entertainment who were willing to support Cancer Schmancer because they didn't have to go anywhere. They didn't have to leave their homes, and they were happy to oblige. So we have an unbelievable lineup this year, and it's free to everyone because we're a nonprofit, but this is the way that we raise money to help us bring everybody that goes to cancerschmancer.org all of the vital information that helps each of us learn how to live our lives more cleanly, more preventatively, to recognize the early warning whispers of the diseases and ultimate cancers that could affect you, and to really take control of your body and transform from being a patient into a medical consumer so you can become better partners with your physician, and to learn things so that you can make an informed decision when and if, God forbid, you're at a crossroads where you have to make some serious choices. And we have great people that talk throughout the year in interviews with me, just illuminating things about the body system and things that you may not hear at your regular physician. You may not hear in the national broadcast because we're nonprofit, so we don't care if we say don't drink cola, but maybe a news show might. So, I think that it's worth signing up for cancerschmancer.org anyway and seeing what information piques your interest. We have a very progressive program called Detox Your Home, and home is the most toxic place we spend the most time in. So this helps that. So on Sunday, getting back to your question, it's going to be streaming on cancerschmancer.org, on the Nanny YouTube channel, on Fran Drescher Facebook Live page, and on Cancer Schmancer Facebook Live page. And
Right.
If it's, not the best time for you when it actually drops, which is 6 p.m. Pacific time here in the United States, then it is going to play into the middle of July. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to watch, enjoy, and donate. And I'm in it too. And we also have Ann Hampton Calloway and her sister Liz, who are our mascots, and they are going to sing in a humorous way the Nanny theme song.
I was going to ask, are you singing?
Nice.
Are you going to sing, Fran? Can you sing the Nanny theme song on the day? Is that going to happen?
No, I think that having Ann do it is probably far better than having me do it. Although there might be something out there in the ether, if you look it up, where you may see me doing it.
Oh.
But I don't make a habit of it.
So can you tell us a little bit about how Cancer Schmancer even started? Because I know that the title comes from your book. I don't know if the book came before you kind of founded this charity. You know, which one really came first, and how did the charity, I guess, all come together?
Well, I am a cancer survivor, and this Monday, June 21st, will be my 21 years of wellness.
Fantastic.
So back in 2000, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer, but it took me 2 years and 8 doctors to get a proper diagnosis. I got in the stirrups more times than Django. And, I really was very frustrated with the medical community that they didn't give me a very simple in-office endometrial biopsy, because they just discounted that as an option because they thought I was too young and too thin and outside of the norm of who gets it, even though 1 in 4 women are young and thin. So 25% seems significant enough to take the freaking test, but nobody offered me that, and I didn't know to ask for it. And so I went on 4 different HRTs, which is hormone replacement therapies. The last one exacerbated my symptoms, and it was really like taking poison with the particular kind of cancer that I had. And so that was when the last doctor finally did the endometrial biopsy. And of course, that showed that she picked up on cancer cells. So that was the beginning of this journey that I'm on that really changed my life exponentially. And I remember when I was still kind of recovering, but starting to feel better, I said at lunch one day, I want to write a book about this, so what happened to me doesn't happen to other people. And so the book was actually very cathartic, and I had to write 4 drafts of it longhand before I really kind of found my funny bone in what is basically a not terribly funny subject, but I needed to sound like myself for my audience. And there's so much in it. There's humor in it, there's pathos in it. There's, I lost my dog through my recovery, and it just is a full journey of me, my relationship with my boyfriend at the time, who was my caregiver, my parents coming to help me, and me finding myself as an individual, as a person, from the beginning all the way to the end, when I really feel like I use the experience to kind of grow into who I am as a woman and as a person that has the ability to ask for help and be vulnerable and even, ask to be carried sometimes, because it was a big deal to do. And my usual MO is I can handle it, I'm okay. But I had already been in therapy, and I knew that this was an opportunity for me to really connect and ask for help, which I was not comfortable doing normally. And so all of that is explored and discussed in the book, which did become a New York Times bestseller. And then, when you're a celebrity and you have a best-selling book, you go on book tours, you go to speaking engagements. And the more I spoke on the subject, the more I realized, first of all, that I was not unique, that what happens to me happens to many people by means of misdiagnosis and mistreatment. And for many, though fortunately not me, late stage cancer diagnosis as a consequence. And then the more I spoke publicly, the more I began to create a vision in my head of the direction that we need to go and how we need to think about our health and how we can change our lifestyle to directly impact our wellness. So the book morphed into the movement, the Cancer Schmancer movement, the nonprofit that I founded. And so the book was not the end, but just the beginning of what's now become a life mission. And the whole thing, though I'm not glad I had cancer and I don't wish it on anyone, has proved to be a very deeply purposeful experience that has, resonated for me on a level that I had never really experienced prior to this. And so even all the work that I do as an actress really is to keep me relevant so I can keep speaking to the press and the public on the platforms that are most important to me. And being at the top of the list, of course, is Cancer Schmancer.
Which, after all these years, still, you know, to be able to have that message and be able to, you know, tell your experiences, share that, and then as you are obviously now doing, raising money, obviously, you know, fantastic to be able to do that and promote that cause. And I mean, looking at the lineup for Fran Jam this week, we were talking a little bit off air, Fran, about some of the people you got there. I mean, proud Australian Tina Arena as one of the people involved there, Jackson Brown, you got Hoobastank, Cyndi Lauper, David Foster, Catherine McPhee, Foster. You've got some big names lined up for this. I mean, do you just sort of sit there and go, okay, I want this person, and because you're Fran Drescher, they're going to say yes no matter what? I mean, is it that simple for you, or do you kind of have to, is there a bit of work involved there?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, I am, as a celebrity, 6 degrees of separation from almost everybody. So that's one thing. But it is not as easy to get people when you want them to come to you and perform, you know, in a forum. But when it's virtual, it is much easier. And still, you know, I think the cause has to mean something to them. And, you know, we have a testimonial from Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, and she shared with us about her mom being, having had cancer. And, so the organization and the work that I do really tirelessly resonated with her. And so it was her great pleasure to record something that was extremely honest and vulnerable and lovely. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative. A lot of celebrities ask each other for favors. I had hit Cynthia up years earlier. I didn't really think of her for this year until she reached out to me to do something for a gay political group and, wanted a testimonial from me. And I was happy to do it because I always go to the mat for any group that's marginalized. And I'm particularly very upfront, loud, and proud about the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community. So I was happy to do it. And then I thought, maybe I can turn this one around. And so I said to her, would it be possible? And no was certainly an okay answer. If you would just do a quick self-tape about, Cancer Schmancer that we could play at our fundraiser. And she said it would be my great pleasure. So, that's kind of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. A lot of celebrities have things that they're passionate about. It may not be the same passion as yours, but, we all try and help and support each other. And it's nice when you are a celebrity and you do have some kind of a global reach that you leverage it for the greater good.
It's so funny. I heard Ben kind of chuckle, when you said the degrees of separation, because when we were off air, we were sort of talking about, you're within 2 or 3 degrees of almost every James Bond actor who's ever played James Bond. And one of the movies we covered a couple months ago, Beautician the Beast, we covered that because, our Bond podcast, Timothy Dalton in it, which I think one of the most surprising things about that movie is that you got Timothy Dalton to do it. I mean, was that sort of one of your first experiences of, I'm just going to reach out, I'm going to call in a favor. We can get Bond to do, Beautician and the Beast. It's not hard for Timothy Dalton to do comedy.
Well, I'll tell you how that one came about. And I was over the moon that he was interested in doing it. But that was a Paramount Studios picture. And at the time, Sherry Lansing was the president of Paramount. And Sherry and Timothy had a history together. They had a very special relationship. And she thought of him and reached out to him. And that's how he got him. But I thought he was fantastic, and I really enjoyed working with him. And the funny thing is, even, on The Nanny, we always refer to Mr. Sheffield as, you look like Pierce Brosnan, you're more, or 007 or James Bond. It's always those connections Fran makes because my character is so plugged into pop culture that, she connects Mr. Sheffield with those great leading men and characters.
It's unique you say that, because I first of all think, like, we're obviously cross-platforming this two of our shows, and we're probably the first ever James Bond podcast to ever interview Fran Drescher for reasons being. But not only did we cover Beautician and the Beast, we, many years ago when we were doing a Pierce Brosnan film, The World Is Not Enough, we're talking about 90s actors that could have been Bond girls, and your name came up. I think we spent half the episode talking about, could Fran Drescher have been a Bond girl? So technically, you kind of were a Bond girl if Mr. Sheffield was Bond, so we could maybe tick that off.
The only thing that probably would have prevented me from being a Bond girl back in the day is my voice.
Well, we think it would have worked fantastically.
Unless it was a comedy or something. And my ex-husband drives an Aston Martin.
Oh, right. Well, see, here we go, Colin. We technically do have a Bond girl. There you go. Fran Drescher, we technically have confirmed today, is pretty much a Bond girl.
I feel so vindicated now, years later.
It's interesting with Beautician.
Yeah, well, it would be funny to do a funny, like a comedy version of Bond, of James Bond, that has one of the older Bond actors, maybe like Timothy, and then I could be an older Bond girl.
Mm-hmm. We'd watch it.
He wants to get back into the business, and I decide to help him.
One of the scenes we particularly loved in Beautician the Beast is the massage scene when you are massaging Timothy's character, of course, and he basically doesn't realize it's you, and he's going on this sort of rant about your character, and he does the impression of your voice, Fran, which of course we know many people have done over the years. Was that something in the script? Did Timothy just get a little bit involved in that and think, oh, I'm going to have a bit of fun with this? And you're obviously on the set there. I mean, what was your take on Timothy Dalton's impression of the famous Fran Drescher voice?
I'm always enchanted by it, quite honestly. I mean, as long as people are drawn into it rather than repelled by it, the spell is not broken.
And you also were a producer on that movie too, and I know that I believe you're a producer on The Nanny as well. And we talked to Ken Kwapis, your director, a couple of months ago about the movie, and he was just going on about how involved you were in the production. How did you find getting into producing the movie and just sort of being behind the scenes as well as behind in front of the camera?
Well, The Nanny was, at its kind of peak of success, and so we thought that we have a very good friend, Todd Graff, who wrote the screenplay for us. And Peter and I, who co-created The Nanny, went to him with an idea of doing the Beautician and the Beast instead of Beauty and the Beast, and kind of doing a film version that resembled The Nanny, but was a family film. And we pitched it to Paramount, and they bought it. So, and I thought of the title, and then Todd Graff started writing the screenplay, and we helped give him notes and things like that, and direction. And he's very talented. So it was, as most feature films are, a collaborative art form. And Sherry Lansing had said, the movie has such a strong life subsequent to when it was in the theaters. She wishes every movie had the kind of endurance that did, even though it wasn't a blockbuster at the time. And I kind of blame that on the fact that they opened it the same weekend as the first time that Star Wars was re-released. And that created, just a unbelievably unexpected response from its fan base, and who are now older and bringing their kids. And, we kind of got lost in the shuffle. So sadly, it didn't really make the impact that we had hoped it would when it was in the theaters. It was only in for maybe a month or so. And then after that, it really found its audience in cable and DVD rentals.
Well, Colin obviously just mentioned we spoke with Ken Kwapis a couple of months back, and he mentioned that the fact that he's one of his most proudest films that he's been on, called it kind of like a comfort movie. It's something you can just put on and feel good about yourself, essentially. And when Colin and I covered it, because basically our project came from, we were choosing films from each of the Bond actors, and straight away, as soon as we got to Timothy Dalton, I said to Colin, we're doing Beautician and the Beast, because I remember that movie as a kid, loved it. Colin had never seen it, was skeptical. He's not a big Dalton fan as Bond, but then loved the movie. And this is now the third episode we've done on Beautician and the Beast, so clearly we love it. So over 20 years later, Fran, we are advocates for Beautician and the Beast as being a great, enjoyable film.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear that. I really am, because, it was an amazing experience. We shot a good part of it in the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. And it's just so worthwhile when you make a movie abroad, because if you're spending a month anywhere, you're going to really get the lay of the land, a sense of the people, and so that becomes, an added bonus to what already is a remarkable experience, that, you're making your own movie, you're starring in it with a major studio that you conceptualized, and it went all the way to being made and being shown.
There's one other movie you did, a very small movie that we covered a few years ago, that I want to ask you really quickly about. I would love to know how it was pitched to you to do Santa's Sleigh, where did they say, you know what, we want the nanny to be attacked by an evil demonic Santa Claus played by Bill Goldberg? How do you get involved in movies? We covered it and already have plans to cover it again this year. We loved it that much.
Brilliant.
I did that as a favor to the executive producer, who's a big movie director unto himself. And I can't remember what his name was. And I'm sure James Caan was the same. Because, I can't believe I'm going blank on what his name was. He's very successful.
Brett Ratner?
Yes. Yes, Brett Ratner, exactly. So, yeah, he asked me if I would do him the favor. And I think it was one day's work. So it wasn't a big deal. And I did it, yeah. I don't like scary movies. And so I refrain from ever seeing them.
It's worth it. It's worth watching it if you can ever put yourself through it, because we didn't know what to expect. And again, similar to Beautician and the Beast, here we are all these years later still talking about it, Fran, and it had an impact on us. So
but I wouldn't be scared.
No. I think there are some kids who kind of get their heads blown up at some point, and Goldberg is just
there's some violent scenes, but it's humor,
It's humor. You never confuse it for real life.
No, definitely not.
No, Timothy Dalton a bit scarier in Beautician and the Beast, I think, when he's giving his dictatorship speech.
Okay,
probably.
So maybe I will check it out one time. Does it play on the streaming channels? Do you think
it's got to be on one of them, surely? And if not, it should be. So. We'll pull some strings. As celebrities ourselves, clearly we're all in the same circle, so we'll be able to. Definitely. We'll hook something up. Of course, Fran Jam is happening this Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in Australia, we'll mention that is 11 a.m. on Monday morning. But of course, as Fran said, it's going to be available online for a little bit there as well. And just before we let you go, Fran, plug your social medias. People out there, I'm sure they already follow you. Of course they already follow you. But if they want to stay up to date with what you're up to.
IG and Instagram, it's official Fran Drescher. And then on Twitter and Facebook, it's at Fran Drescher. And please sign up at cancerschmancer.org and follow us at Cancer Schmancer as well on IG, because that helps the organization. And also, you'll learn so much and it'll be so helpful. And you know what else, fellas? I just forgot to mention one other thing. I've been to the property in Jamaica where James Bond was written.
Oh.
GoldenEye Ranch. Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And now it's been kind of converted into a very like kind of rustic, elegant hotel with bungalows and the main house. And I have a lot of friends that have stayed there, and I've been there as well.
Well, wow. I'm telling you, but Bugger being a Bond girl, you can be James Bond. We're in 2021 now. They're talking about, changing it up a little bit. So, but before we let you go, can you give us the names Bond, James Bond, just as an audition today?
Oh, can I say that? Oh, okay. Like as if it's me?
Yeah.
Bond. James Bond.
Boom. There you go. Perfect.
That's already better than Daniel Craig, right?
Exactly. Your next James Bond. Ladies and gentlemen, Fran Drescher, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a massive pleasure to chat to you today.
Be well, gentlemen. Nice to see you.